This is Hot Edition. We're live from our news about Desawe Kanda, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. This evening, near chaos as family members of slain immigration officer Stephen King Amoah assault accused persons and their lawyer after court proceedings earlier today. Stay with us. We've got details for you. Also, 11 aspirants pick nomination forms to contest the September 6th NDC parliamentary primary for the Tamale Central constituency. That particular constituency that was declared vacant after the death of Dr. Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed, a member of parliament for the area, a couple of weeks ago. Operators of Bagre Dam and Kompienga Dam in Burkina Faso issue alert of an impending spillage in the coming days. Stay with us. We've got details for you on how preparations are being put in place and also which specific areas would be or could be affected by this spillage in the coming days here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale, W93.5 in Wa and beyond. And also remember, we're streaming live on YouTube and on Facebook, 3FM 927. We have the latest in business and sports over the next 1 hour here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Let's settle for a summary of the news now and straight into the matters arising as chaos erupted at the Adabraka District Court yard after relatives of murdered immigration officer Stephen King Amoah nearly assaulted the lawyer for the suspects in this particular case. Now, the suspects were, however, not lucky as the angry mob managed to land slaps and blows on them. Not even the presence of armed police officers who were guarding the suspects could deter the crowd as they also begged for their blood, demanding that the police release them to face instant justice. Amidst the chaos, the police managed to escort the suspects and their lawyer, albeit some difficulty, into a waiting vehicle and sped off to safety. If you go on our Facebook page, we're showing you videos of exactly what happened at the court earlier today. In studio with me, Lord Eduasari is our legal affairs correspondent. He was in court earlier today, witnessed everything as it played out. Lord, the videos tell it all. A very angry group of persons who were identified as relatives of the slain immigration officer. Now, what exactly was their concern? Why did they attack the lawyer, the lawyer for the accused and also the suspects?
Right, Alfred, it's been a hard day, difficult day, I should say, both for accused persons, lawyers, and then family of the deceased immigration officer. Now, this was their main case, and Alfred, I'm sure you've seen from the videos that they had branded shirts on with the face of the slain immigration officer, so you can easily identify the families over there. Now, their main case was that how could the accused persons be so heartless in killing their beloved? They, a number of the family members I spoke to indicated that this person, Steffen King Amoah, he was born and bred in Germany, stayed in Germany for over a decade and came down because he wanted to serve his country. And that was the sole reason for which he joined the immigration. And so for him to be murdered in such a manner was heartless of the accused persons. And so they were very upset with the entire situation and wanted instant justice, Alfred. Now, when we got to court today, and Alfred, the last time, it was only, until today, we only got to know that there was only one person who had been arrested, which was the lead suspect in the case, Bright Ame. When we got to court today, another accused person was brought. His name is Thomas Ziga. Now, like the video, like you're watching the videos, when the police were bringing him, you could see family members literally ganged up on him and throwing their arms. Some were trying to hit him. I actually got one of the family members who was proud about the fact that he had been able to take off the slippers that the accused person was wearing, and he actually admitted to assaulting the accused person. Now, Alfred, even in the courtroom, the lawyer for the second accused, and I must say, Alfred, that at this point, the lead suspect hasn't got any representation yet.
Mm-hmm.
But the second accused person, Ziga, he had a lawyer, Gordon Abuaje, and he made the case that his client he was praying the court for his client to be taken to the Kolebu hospital for medical treatment.
Right.
He alleged that he did not trust that the officials or the health personnel at the police hospital would do a good job, because he again accused them or alleged that the whole situation makes them tainted, in that because they're also a security service, when there's an evidence, they may hide it, and that will affect his clients.
I see.
So he prayed the courts for an order on the police to take him to the Kolebu, but then the police prosecutor opposed it and indicated that as at the time that they were in court, the accused person had been taken to the hospital on 2 occasions. He had been treated and discharged, and so the lawyer for the second accused had no basis for that prayer. By and large, eventually, the court agreed with the police prosecutor and indicated that they didn't even have anything on record to suggest that the second accused person, Ziga, had been ill and had been treated at any hospital. And so the presiding judge, magistrate, dismissed or refused that request, and asked him to formally make the application when he has evidence or a report from the hospital.
Let's take a listen to some of the family members that you spoke to. Livid in this video. If you go on our Facebook page at 3FM927.
Second accused person family members musem befu ba emu na moye no ekkan yakayaka de efa ne ho na emu kra ko bonus na sefo. Why was that the case?
Ya ono so because obetime di ho ya o hu se apada sani no akuni bi asenkan ha adwe but obekuna wi sa betwitwa ne nan sa be hye no ya ono so ti ya o ene ma adofo no so e de yes am no mani ya.
Okay, all right. That's it. That's your first.
One more year, na kwa mwa yele dia kam de ko street ni pa na ko so gugu ada na mo here ni ya dia sa ada ben fa bo kan so kam nya na kam be street ni ama nya no to mo je 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 me nya no na suspect o manya no edna be ka ho no woni aso anaso woni ajo ben ya so kakra na wo fa dia kan na ka ho ben ya so to mo fa dia kan na ka ho ye hu de ye na no ya fo so nyi e hu free ala ya for wo munyi wo mu fi na ya na no no di en no no ala wa fa no ko ga ya no sa ka nya wo mo je wo munyi wo mu fi
Thank you. So you hear the relatives, one of the relatives of this slain immigration officer there saying that the lawyers should recuse themselves. The lawyers for the suspects, they should recuse themselves. They shouldn't even go to court to go and defend the suspects.
Indeed,
and that if they are said to have allegedly committed this crime, why do they need lawyers? But here's why I bring in Martin Pebo, his private legal practitioner, a human rights lawyer as well, joining us right now. Counsel, now you hear the family members clearly in pain and speaking out of the loss, the impact of the loss of their loved one. The videos tell it all. They attacked the lawyers of these suspects, and then also even at some point they don't even allow them to come out of the courtroom. They had to use another exit, and their main claim is that, look, if these persons are said to have allegedly murdered their loved one, why should they even have lawyers? They are asking the lawyers for these suspects to recuse themselves. They should not go to court to defend the suspects. Counsel.
Well, the country, yes. So we would say that, yes, although we acknowledge that the family has lost a dear one, and so it is traumatic. There's a lot of pain and sorrow, or disquiet, etc. The law doesn't permit them to take the law into their own hands and to prevent the accused persons from engaging a lawyer. In actual fact, the way my understanding is that they were threatening the lawyer here and there. That in itself is another crime. That in itself is another crime. If you do threat of harm, it's a crime under our laws, okay? So you go to the Criminal Offences Act 1960, Act 29, they will tell you that, or let's say the law provides that threat of harm is a crime. And then we have, if you use this, so let's go one by one. If you threaten another person that you will intentionally and unlawfully cause harm to that person, then that's a second-degree felony. You see, sections 69 of the Act 29, okay, and that can carry a sentence of, in the absence of a specific stipulation of the sentence, it can go up to 10 years. You see it? Yes, it can go up to 10.
I see. Up to 10 years.
You should be careful, and that's not all. If you don't even say you are doing harm, but you just take hold of the lawyer and beat him. If you hit him, when we say beat him, one blow is sufficient. That would then bring in criminal assault. Okay? Also, an offense under the law. So you're looking at sections 82, there's the 85. So let's just call it from section 84 onwards. So you have assault. So when you assault, yes, that one is a misdemeanor. But the misdemeanor means the imprisonment goes from a fine up to 3 years in prison. There are other offenses that can likely be engaged. So please, we would implore the family to hold themselves. They should restrain themselves from doing anything that would land them into trouble. Yes, we sympathize, we empathize with them. It's a great loss. I mean, that's a lot of investment in the young man who has passed away. So I know how it feels like. We've all lost loved ones before. Yes, it's very painful. But please, the family should do well not to engage in unlawful conduct.
And this appeal that you make is coming at a time when, and in fact, we understand some of the family members who are listening to us right now. When you hear what they said to my colleague, Lord Edwasari, after this court hearing today, they say that one, yes, they are happy another suspect has been arrested, but then again, moving forward, they are not going to back down on attacks on the lawyers or the suspects whenever they show up in court. This caution you're making to or giving to them, or this appeal and some form of education as well, is that yes, even if they are livid about the loss of their loved one, they have to be careful in carrying out this threat of attacking the lawyers of their suspects anytime they appear in courts. That's what they said. Counsel.
Oh, well, they are inviting trouble. I mean, there's a limit. The police wouldn't sit aloof and allow them to take the law into their own hands. They are inviting trouble, so they better be warned, please. We all know, yes, it's a very painful loss, extremely painful, yes, and there's a mourn with them, okay? Yes, we empathize, we sympathize, all of those. But please, they shouldn't take the law into their own hands. The police will arrest them if they dare do that again. Because, you see, to the extent that the lawyer had to flee, that means that the threat itself was imminent. That in itself, even you see, like when you tell somebody, hey, you, let me show you. If you start advancing towards the person and you are close, quite close, start saying that you see what I'll do to you. If, let's say, within a second or two, you can reach the person, that type of, hey, you will see itself is an assault.
I see.
Okay? Without even touching the person. If you are close enough, so within 1 second or two, your blow or your stick or your stone can land on the person, that in itself is an assault. That in itself, when you have not yet touched the other person with your hands or with a stick, but if it's close enough, they say, so we don't, it's not mathematical, but there's a way we do it that if you are close enough that anybody, when we demonstrate it in court, you see that, a reasonable person would have been scared that you are about to hit him. That in itself is an assault, even though you had not yet touched him physically. So please, what they did today is bordering on assault, even without the actual hitting. That's without actually battering the lawyers. So they should be warned.
While you're talking, Counsel, we have the lawyer for one of the suspects who was at the receiving end of these threats and the near beatings by the family members of this slain immigration officer. He's on the other line. He's been listening to you all the while. Gordon Amoah is a private legal practitioner, lawyer for one of the suspects in this case that is under investigation as we speak. And he's joining us on the telephone right now. Lawyer Gordon Amoah, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Alfred.
I'm sure that this was a very troubling experience for you, a traumatic one earlier today. Could you walk us through exactly what happened?
I just can't believe what I experienced today, just for doing my job. Yes, and I wasn't alone. I was with one intern of mine and another colleague, lawyer. As I speak, some of my people are traumatized. Yes, some are traumatized. And we have not committed any crime. We were just doing our job, our constitutionally mandated duty. You see, my senior, the learned people, have done justice to the topic or the issue. But there are some other things. You see, in this kind of, let me say, offense, which is murder, even if the accused person pleads guilty, the law is that a plea of not guilty should be entered for him to defend himself. And legal representation is not one that can be dispensed with. In fact, if I withdraw right now and he gets no other representation, there will be no trial. There will be no trial.
I see.
I am begging the family. I saw a lot of the posters and the inscriptions. Justice for the deceased. Yes. But justice will mean that they will have to cooperate with all of us. I have done no wrong. I'm just doing my job, what the law tells me to do. To target me, and even though, let me say this, the police did well by giving me and my team protection. At a point, I was also a little bit disappointed.
Why is that?
Because this was crime being committed in fashion, in the presence of the police.
I see. So you think the police could have done better than what they did eventually?
They did well. The protection solid. In fact, if you look at if you watch the videos, you realize.
Absolutely, they came in front of you. They crossed you, and then
the first attempt, we had to go back, and then they brought in more men. But my point is that the kind of things they were saying and were doing These were criminal acts. Criminal acts. You see, criminal acts. And that is what Nyakwebu has educated us on.
I see. But then, right. But I see also that before you came out, did you have a clear indication of the crowd outside and how charged they were?
Yes. You see, initially, after when the case was adjourned, we were all up there. And then I wanted to move out, but then we were waiting for the judge to sign the warrant for the detention of A2, whom I represent.
That's Thomas Ziga.
Yes. So the initial idea was that we wait till everyone has left. Then we leave quietly. But then we got information. And that's why I said these things, they should have been arrested. We got information that some were actually determined to stay till me and my team gets down. So we realized that waiting for the accused person to be sent away, for the press to go, and for everybody to go before we leave was risky in itself. So there was a suggestion that then rather, while the police, that we have the presence of the police, we rather go or exit the place under their protection.
I see. No, because
and
then
this information we had when we were up there. I am not taking anything away from the police. No. I am not taking anything away from them. But these were real criminal acts that were being committed. Some had to the way cross us. And I said now, two of my people that I came there with, they are seriously traumatized.
Anyway, so then what would be next for you? I mean, now that you know, in fact, the family, as you indicated, they were clear in their message. They're demanding justice and they wanted served as soon as practicable. They charged on you. They made it clear that they would at any point fight any lawyer that stands to defend the suspects in this particular case. That message was clear in their rage. So what are you going to do next?
Well, at the moment, we as a firm, we are going to meet and decide. All options will be put on the table, including withdrawing representation. But they should know that if we withdraw representation, they are not likely, they will not even get the justice they want. Unless, of course, they have some other means by which they will get their justice. But if the justice they seek lies with these courts or with the courts, then whatever they are doing will rather impede the justice. Because once we withdraw, there will be no trial. This is a constitutional requirement.
I see.
We understand the pain, the loss, yes. But then, to get justice, let us also follow the law. That's all we are pleading with them. None of them know me. I know none of them. Until yesterday, I never knew A2 or the second accused person. Until yesterday.
I see. So you only engaged by the second suspect? Yes, just yesterday.
Okay. You realize that your reporter was in court.
Yes.
I was holding a senior lawyer's brief. So I was instructed to come to court.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, I see.
So as to when the senior lawyer, who is my senior, was instructed or was engaged, I do not know. But I went to court on his instruction.
No, that's well understood. But I thank you very much for this.
Welcome.
Appreciate it. That's the lawyer for the second accused in this particular case. I'm talking about the case of the murdered immigration officer Steffen Amoah, the second suspect identified as Thomas Ziga, also known as Ni Jasi. That's the lawyer we just heard, Gordon Abuaji, who was also at the receiving end of the attacks by the family of the late immigration officer Steffen Amoah. Counsel, so maybe finally, before I let you go, one other option that these the lawyers who have been attacked are looking at is a possible withdrawal of their services as a counsel for these suspects. How will that impact the case? Maybe quickly before we go.
So the learned counsel rightly put it that if they withdrew, usually it would affect the trial itself, okay? Because for a murder trial, you would always need a lawyer. So that means that potentially it would affect the time frame within which they will get justice. So that's a very salient point that my colleague lawyer Gordon Abuaji has brought up. So the family should be better advised. Yes, it's true that at the district court now, that's not where the trial itself is going to take place. This place, they are there for the indictment proceedings. Also, they should be informed that usually by practice, hardly would you finish with that indictment proceedings in less than 1 year. I'm saying usually. There are some exceptional cases in places where there are no, the workload on the lawyers and the police is very low. In that case, you can finish within a year. But usually by practice, in the district court, it can take a year easily. Most cases stay more than a year in the district court where they went today before they finish the indictment proceedings, and then the case is taken to the high court for the trial itself. So what they are doing in the district court now, they've not even started. That place is for the prosecution to bring up all the evidence that they've gathered, okay? That's when they finish building the docket, then the judge will look at it, and then they will ask the accused and his lawyers if they have anything to say. Most of the time, it's just perfunctory. It is, what do you call it? It usually will go to the high court. Once there is evidence, the Supreme Court says even if the evidence is small, the district judge should not lightly let the accused off, but rather take the case to the high court and the case be dealt with, on the merits. So what I'm saying is that most of the time, the district court there, it's easy to scale that test. It's easy to pass that stage and then go to the high court. Then at the high court, the bar is raised. But the bar at the district court is very low, very, very, very low. The least evidence there is, the district judge will pass the case on to the high court judge.
Counsel, I appreciate you for this. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Martin Pebo is private legal practitioner. Also joining us earlier was the lawyer for one of the accused in this particular issue of the murder of the immigration officer. That's Gordon Abuaji. So live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale, and on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. 11 aspirants comprising 2 females and 9 males have also picked nomination forms for the contest of the September 6th National Democratic Congress parliamentary primary for the Tamale Central by-election. It's making up 11 persons who have stepped up to replace the late Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed. Now, the Electoral Commission last week declared the Tamale Central seat vacant following the tragic demise of the incumbent member of parliament, Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, in a helicopter crash. The by-election has been slated for September 30. So that's the day coming through right now. And Christopher Marco is our Northern and Savannah regional correspondent, is joining me right now on the telephone. Chris, the race already heated for the replacement of Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed. 11 persons stepped up already. Who are these persons?
Yes, so Alfred, we have some past regional executives, some past mayor of Tamale, and other party supporters who have gone to pick their nominations today. So the first to pick his nomination is the former regional secretary of the party, lawyer Rao. He was the first to pick his nomination today around 10 a.m., then followed by one Dr. Saidu Mohammed Fita, a lecturer at the University for Development Studies, then followed by a former mayor of Tamale, Gundado. And let me say that two females have picked nominations to contest in the primary. We also have 9 males contesting in this primary who have picked their nominations today. We have 2 lawyers, 2 professors, 3 doctors, and the rest are just members of the party who have also gone to pick the nomination.
I see, and you visited, in fact, you've been in the constituency for quite a while now. What's happening there in terms of the groundwork of these persons who have expressed interest to contest?
So, Alfred, because of the limited time frame, everything is sort of happening in a rush. But we are not seeing the supporters following the various aspirants in their numbers, like these characteristics of the usual elections, filing of nominations by parties or picking of nomination forms. This is so probably because of the situation that a constituency finds itself, the circumstances surrounding the death of the member of parliament. So you see one person going to pick the nomination for himself or herself. You see 2 people going to pick on behalf of someone. So that has been the trend today. But Alfred, I must say that the executives, as it stands now, more people would have picked because 2 people came later today and were told that the forms were finished for today. So they only had 11 and people had come to pick all. So those 2 people, including others, will come tomorrow to continue with the process. So they are waiting for the forms to be sent via air tomorrow to Tamale for them to be able to continue with the process.
So if I get the understanding, that means that these 11 persons who have showed interest, the number could increase in the coming days because of the intelligence or the information that you picked. There's some more persons who showed up to pick the forms.
Alfred, we are going to get more people coming up even before the close of day today. Like around 3:30, they had already finished selling the 11 forms because they didn't have enough. 2 other aspirants came later after they had indicated that they had 11 forms and they have already exhausted them. 2 others came and they were told to come tomorrow. So it means that from tomorrow, and the list it was 16. Now the number is increasing because some of the people who came today to pick the forms, we did not even know that they were in the race because they did not declare their intentions as usual on social media or via their supporters. But those that we had, some of them actually came today and some have indicated that they will come tomorrow. Others are also saying that per their religious checks, they are supposed to come on Sunday, the last day, to pick their nominations.
And I do appreciate you for this. Thank you so much. Christopher Marco is our Northern and Savannah regional correspondent, giving us details there. So who are these 11 aspirants who have so far picked their nomination forms to contest the primaries of the NDC in the Tamale Central constituency? They all want to replace the late Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed. We have the names of these 11, and as Christopher indicated, this number could actually go high. There's one lawyer, Khalid Abdul Rauf, a former Northern Regional Secretary of the NDC, was the first to pick the forms earlier in the week. Dr. Saidu Mohammed Fita, a lecturer at the University for Development Studies, UDS, Abdul Rahman Guandado, also a former mayor of the Tamale Metropolitan Assembly. The rest are Hajia Mulaiko Suleimana, Al-Hajj Al-Hassan Mbaba, Mariama Salifu, Dr. Abdul Rahman, Abdul Rashid, Dr. Aliu Abdul Hamid, Professor Abdul Razak Abubakar, and guess what? We also have Professor Ali Duseidu in there. Yes, so that's the information that we have. He was one time head of the political science department of the University of Ghana, and he is the acting CEO of the Water Resources Commission. Professor Ali Duseidu has also, we understand, had some persons pick nomination forms for him, and one Sadat Haruna Al-Hassan as well. So these are the names so far as we do know it. And this is where I bring in Dr. Jonathan Asantewotwe. Very interesting names, Jonathan Asantewotwe, is it not? The persons who have picked the forms to contest this primaries of the NDC in the Tamale Central constituency. Doc.
Yeah, good evening, and good evening to your listeners. The Tamale Central constituency may be a combination of urban, peri-urban, and probably rural, centers and areas. And so it's a combination of various demographics. And so I'm not surprised that you have a list of people who have advanced, knowledge in their areas of expertise. You have lawyers, you have professors, you have doctors, and so on and so forth. And so it is an interesting competition. That being said, what is a common denominator is the fact that the NDC appears more attractive as a party than any time before. And the other issue too is the fact that, yes, unfortunately, Dr. Mutala has passed on, unfortunately. But what ought to be understood is the fact that whoever wins that particular internal primaries is likely going to Parliament, and so that probably explains why you have such a huge number. And interestingly, there are others who are yet to pick nomination forms as well. That's quite interesting.
Indeed, and it presents also that challenge of managing this contest, because it appears that yes, the NDC would have to battle itself. That's for the lack of better expression, upon the decision by the NPP not to contest this by-election in Tamale Central. How do you expect things to play out, especially when it comes to managing the internal process of elections within the NDC in that constituency?
Well, I think that the NDC owes, a peaceful primary to the late MP. They're supposed to ensure that, they manage the process very well, so they do not in any way create disaffection, within the constituency. That is something that they owe to the soul and embodiment of that of Dr. Mutala. It is something that they owe to him. They owe it to him. So they should be able to manage that. They should be able to create a situation where people's ambitions, do not in any way come into conflict with that of the constituency's ambition, that of the party's ambition, and so on and so forth. And so I think that the stakes are going to be quite high, but everybody will bear in mind that the way and manner the MP, died, will make them exercise some kind of moderacy in their pronouncement, in their campaign strategies here and there, so that at the end of the day, they'll be able to have peaceful primaries, internal primaries.
And I do thank you so much for joining us on this. Dr. Jonathan Asantewotwe is a senior lecturer, University of Cape Coast, and also a political analyst, joining us here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Some more stories. Operators of the Bagre Dam and Kompienga Dam in Burkina Faso, Sonabel, they've informed Ghanaian authorities about the opening of the spillways of the dam. The water level in the Bagre Dam is currently 233.99 feet with a filling rate of 86.38%, while the Kompienga Dam is at 177.66. The spilled water is expected to hit the white and black voltas in Ghana within 48 hours, and farmlands and properties along the banks of the rivers are expected to be affected by the floods. Rabiu Tanko is our Upper East Regional Correspondent. Rabiu, now with this news coming through, how are the residents living along the white and black voltas preparing for the impact of the spillage?
Okay, thank you very much, Alfred. It's an annual spillage, so when it comes to this time of the year, farmers along the white water and black water, especially along the Palgu area, usually time the way they do their farming, but ignorance of what normally happens. So they refuse and then farm along the bank because of the rich soil along the bank. So before the information came to NADMO here in the Upper East region, most of them have already started harvesting what they can salvage before the incident. Because when I had the information, I spoke to some of the farmers in Palgu, and then they told me that they had information earlier before NADMO had it. So they are able to talk to their farmers or their colleagues around the Palgu area and then the Isabella area for them to move. So I believe by tomorrow onwards, NADMO and its staff will storm the area to sensitize the people on what is coming in the next 5 days. Alfred.
I see, but this has been an annual affair, as you indicated, and so give us a clear idea of the residences around or along this white and black volta, because they know every year there's going to be a spillage which will affect them. So what's happening there?
Yes, Alfred, these farmers, like I said earlier, when I spoke to them even last year when it happened, they told me that they can't leave the place because of the rich soil of the place. But most of the settlements are, let's say, 200 meters away from there, and most of them to have established their own farm houses in the, in the farms, which is somewhere, like 50 meters to the river. So they are aware of this situation, but just that they are taking risks. And most of them too, they have other lands that is closer to where the original settled, but they are saying that the soil there is not rich like what is happening or what is at the river banks. So they don't have any option than to stay there. So when the issue of the multipurpose dam came, some of them were not happy, some were not happy, but they were saying that they need government compensation if only the dam is going to be constructed. But up to now, we're not able to see the way forward on the construction of the dam. So most of them are still there, Alfred.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this update. Rabiu Tanko is our Upper East Regional Correspondent. You're also live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also on Kesme 107.1 and on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. The national organizer of the governing NDC, Joseph Yamin, has stirred controversy over his claims that the anti-Galamsey task forces operating in parts of the Ashanti region are only extorting money from licensed small-scale miners. He claims the proliferation of unauthorized and overlapping groups operating under the guise of fighting Galamsey is causing tensions in mining communities. Yamin has therefore appealed to President John Dramani Mahama to intervene and suspend the activities of these task forces until proper regulation and coordination are also upheld. This is a report by William Evans Inkum.
Followed recent clash at Manso Bonteso by residents and Inspector General of Police Special Anti-Galamsey Task Force. The incident happened after the task force seized a packed excavator. Yamin believes the operations is unregulated, uncoordinated, and opened the door for some imposters.
Task forces can never be said as fighting illegal mining, but rather extorting monies and creating problems.
He appealed to the President, John Dramani Mahama, and the Inspector General of Police, Christian Tetayono, to withdraw all the police anti-tax force from the mining communities. Meanwhile, the Ashanti chapter of the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners, Frank Osei, said the association supports the government effort to clamp down on illegal mining, particularly within protected areas such as forest reserves and river bodies.
And yet the appendix helicopter Bashiasi. Moshe car accident Akasia ACCCC. And to pay for her premium and to come for pressing beyond to form. No more pressure. They are not if you come on. They are her.
The current approach has become chaotic and counterproductive.
Well, I'm Evan Sinkom there. In the next few days, the Minister for Communications, Samuel Nati George, will meet the leadership of the Postal and Courier Services regulations to discuss awareness creation of the need for courier riders to be licensed. We'll get some more details on this on 3news.com. Also, the Trades Union Congress is set to mobilize over 3,000 workers for a protest on August 29 to demand the cancellation of debt owed by Ghana and other African countries to international creditors. The protest, supported by the International Trade Union Confederation, is part of a global campaign urging international creditors to ease the debt burden on developing nations. Here is a report by our Labour Affairs correspondent, Daniel Opoku.
At a news conference in Accra, leaders from the Trades Union Congress (TUC) and the International Trades Union Confederation (ITUC) expressed deep concern about what they described as unjust debt being paid by African governments. Ghana, for instance, has returned to the International Monetary Fund (IMF) for the 17th time, a move that the TUC and ITUC say reflects a deeper crisis affecting many African economies. They believe the growing debt burden has directly affected incomes of workers, public services, and overall livelihoods.
To what? The Elysee Palace. You look at the Anglophone countries still tied to our colonial past. The extraction is still ongoing. After World War II, they set up these huge banks to what? To suppress us the more and control our resources. And that is what has been happening, and that is what the IMF has been doing to us, right? So they are in the space, they are in the game to make profits, to make outrageous profits for themselves and keep us down there.
The planned march aims to put pressure on both international creditors and African leaders to adopt fairer financial practices and prioritize the well-being of citizens over debt repayments.
Today, since the debt exchange program, when we are set to negotiate, we are reminded constantly about the commitment the Ghana government has made with the international bondholders, for example. And that commitment more or less limit government's ability in terms of increases they can grant, for example. So, and our workers more or less can blame us that we didn't negotiate hard enough. But we are negotiating with a government that has more or less a binding constraint.
As a report by Daniel Opoko, we're back with the business news and the sports news after this quick break. Stay with us.
Hello, Ghana. It's a new